All right, welcome everybody. Going to do a quick video here on Metrix Finance. And I just want to just show the features and how much time it just saves me when I'm managing liquidity pools. When I'm managing them, when I'm analyzing rebalances, making sure that I'm structuring my liquidity pools correctly so I can make sure that I do not take on too much impermanent loss, right? Because if you make a mistake and you're not rebalancing correctly, you could be taking on impermanent loss, and you won't know on a rebalance, on a per rebalance basis. You will only know when it's too late, either weeks down the line, months down the line, and realize that you are not optimizing your liquidity pools as per your strategy, right? And that's the worst feeling in the world. All right, so we don't like to leave money on the table, right? And I think this Metrix Finance definitely pays for itself. You know, we've seen Jake talk about, you know, rebalancing and using Metrix Finance, right? And I really want to show how it can save a lot of time on Solana, right? You know, I just rebalanced a Solana liquidity pool. Took me not even 10 minutes, right? Because what I really hate is, well, not hate, but I'm just loathing the manual rebalancing. And I hope Aperture Finance comes out with their support for Radium and Solana really soon. I mean, they stated that it won't be till next year, which kind of sucks. That leaves us to manually rebalancing. And there's just so much opportunity in this ecosystem. The Solana pools just print. And I've been printing since March with Solana USDC. I've generated well over 25 grand in yields on a 45K to 50K liquidity pool, right? I've just taken out my profits and just stacking them, right? So I just want to stay exposed to these type of markets. It's very important. I wish I could get more aggressive and tighter in my liquidity pools. It's just, I don't want to wake up middle of the night and rebalance them, right? So Aperture, if you're watching this, please put it in the forefront. Anyways, here we go. So I'm going to show you what I go through on a rebalance using Metrix Finance. What do I look at? All right, so here's a position I had. So here's the liquidity pool that I'm talking about on Metrix, on the school platform. Solana USDC. Here's my update. My old liquidity pool range was 150 to 195. The position value is 49,736. I staked it at a price of around 191, and that's the range, 149 to 150 to 195. To set up and try to buy the dip on Solana when price was up there. I just felt it was a little elevated. You know, my strategy just told me that, you know what, maybe a good time to get out of Solana and just look to buy the dip, right? We're not exactly get out, stay exposed to the price action so you can generate yields, but keep yourself protected from any drawdowns. And that's what this did. So when we went to recoup the yields in about 2 days, you can see from 2 days from when I staked it, or up here, 3 days from when I staked it, earned about $251 on the 49K, 49.7. The value of the liquidity pool at 175, which I rebalanced earlier today, was 48,640. So lost a little over $1,000 in value, gained $251 in yield, right? Now there's a long-term game plan with this. Over time, the more this stays volatile, the more it generates yields, the better. And I will be positioned, even though I'm constantly rebalancing using Jake's tool, I will overcome that impermanent loss through yield and through properly structuring my liquidity pools. So let's get into this. Let's take a look. All right, so I went to Metrix Finance, 48,640. I went to Metrix Finance. And I was like, all right, I need to rebalance this liquidity pool. So I have the pro account, but you can see all the options here that they're supporting. They're doing a great job over at Metrix. So glad that they support Radium now. And it's just so much better than manually tracking and manually calculating. Is such a pain, right? Having this is amazing. So go to Radium, click on that. We want to go to Sol, USDC. Then it pops up with the fee tier, right? I was in 0.01%. Okay, we got it loaded up. Let's flip that price over here. Let's enter in the 48,640. And that's the value at the time of the rebalance when price was at 175. And the price of my liquidity pool, 150, or the range, sorry, 150 to 195. As you remember, that's all it was initially in the beginning. All right, so 175, 150 to 195. This is the value of the liquidity pool, right? Took all that. Now I need to rebalance. Okay, well, if the value of my liquidity pool was 49,700 at 191, I want to make sure I'm not taking on too much impermanent loss, right? But what I want to do here in my strategy, I want to widen out because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Solana is going to keep dropping. And I would rather protect myself and stay in range in the meantime until I figure out and wait for that prime opportunity to get tight again and get aggressive, right? That's how you think. It's a dynamic relationship with your liquidity pools. You're going to get wider, you're going to get tighter. Do not make decisions solely based on APRs. You're going to get wrecked, right? So this is what I did. Pay attention. Just kidding. But yeah, I think this is some good alpha here for you, for those that are paying attention and watching. So here we go. We got it here. What am I going to do? Okay, well, I want to protect myself to the downside. And I also want to protect myself to the upside, which means I don't want to take on too much impermanent loss. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have an edge here, but I'm going to stay in the market and wait and continue to get paid while I wait until I find that prime opportunity. All right, so let's go down here. I'm like, okay, now I got to rebalance, right? So what if I went, obviously you can see my range over here on this side, 130 to 215, right? So let's say, I kind of eyeballed it and I kind of got a good idea of how I need to rebalance. So I go pretty much right to that number, right? So I went 130 to 215. All right. Now I'm like, okay, well, check out this new feature that I just saw today. Buy total value. This position breakdown is like, this is my bread and butter right here. This is what I use primarily to really structure my liquidity pools. I'm not really a guy that focuses on APR, right? I'm more concerned about protecting my principal because without your money, you're not going to make money, right? So you gotta protect it and make sure it fits your strategy so you don't lose money. So, well, I got a nice surprise today. I was looking at it, I was like, holy shit. They have this buy total value. I used to have to go to buy value, then I had to add up these two values to see what the value was at this price, and I had to bust out the calculator and all that crap, right? But now Jake hooked it up. Look at that. I went here, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be even simpler. So let's see. Okay, well, I'm at a range 130 to 215. If this goes back to 190, will I incur impermanent loss, right? So that's the question. Let's go. 191, 192. I'll be at 50K. What was it? Did I stake 49.7? Perfect. Great. Perfect. And I've widened out the downside to 130. Even better, right? Then I'm like, okay, great. That's my new pool. I will stake it. And I come to Radium, stake it, done. Before you had to calculate it manually. You probably got to use whoever uses spreadsheets, right? And it was a pain in the ass. And then you had to go to DeFi Labs, and whoever used DeFi Labs, it started getting bad towards the end. It was very slow, wouldn't load. And then not only that, they didn't have Solana support. They didn't support Solana. So then I had to go and find an asset that was around the same price, and then use that asset as a Solana asset. And I was like, okay, this is how you rebalance. Okay, this is about the same price. Okay, this is good. I wouldn't care about the APRs because they were not going to be correct, right? Because it's a totally different asset, but the logic still remained. And that's how I got around it. It would be like a 30-minute ordeal. But now you got this. Go here, stake it, done. And then I'm like, okay, now I plan out my next rebalance. How do I do that? Well, okay, here we are. What if price draws further down? What do I do? Okay, what if we get down to 150? Okay, I think if we get a 150 and we break it, I might need to rebalance, right? So what's the value there? 44,347. Enter that here, 44,347 at 148. Okay. How wide do I want to go? Let's see. I'm going to eyeball it. 110, 240. Now you're probably thinking like, man, that's only 20% APR. What are you doing, Float Locker? Remember back to the earlier part of this video. I'm waiting for the opportunity to get aggressive. If you're aggressive all the time, you're eventually going to run out of juice. You're going to get screwed over. You're going to take a misstep, and you're going to get run over, and you're going to get wrecked. And all this work will be for nothing. There are times where you essentially step back and watch. You watch the market. And then according to your strategy, you find that low risk opportunity where you could get aggressive, right? Where you're not going to take on too much of permanent loss if it doesn't go your way. And also take advantage of the high yields if it does go your way, right? It's like win-win, right? Win-win scenario. Low risk, high yields, and then you run it, right? You run them, get aggressive. Let's see here. Let's see if I was correct. I'm going to match up the ticks. I love doing that. And then we go down here. Okay, what if we get back to 175? Will it be back to my original value where I did this rebalance at 175? Let's see. Let's go 175. 48.4. And what was the value at the rebalance? Let's take a look here. 48.6. Is a little off, man. It's a little off. Maybe a couple $100 off. But you generate more yields, maybe give up some IL. But if you're a stickler, you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll go 250. Let's see how that helps. Maybe that'll get me closer to my number, right? 175, 48.4. You probably got to bring up the 110, maybe to 115, right? 115. Let's see. And then you see how you work this. Boom, right there. 48,660. That's the magic number. That's the magic range. Just like as I want it and plan it, then I take down this range, and that's it. Too easy. And I have my next rebalance planned if price gets to 148. Ready to go. That way, when it happens, it gets there, you just act. You don't think, you don't become a deer in headlights. You don't sit there and just like, oh my God, what's going on? It's crashing. Oh no, I'm going to capitulate. I'm out. And because you didn't have a plan, you weren't positioned correctly, sized incorrectly, and you just screwed yourself over and you get wrecked, end up selling the bottom. Market rips right back up. You missed the ride. Now you're screwed on both ends, getting whipsawed. Then you FOMO in the top, and you know how that cycle goes, right? You start losing money, buying tops, selling bottoms. We don't want to do that. Get on Metrix Finance. I'm telling you, save yourself some time. It's worth it. All right? Get those yields generating. Become an apex predator of liquidity pools. Get an edge above the competition, because you have institutions with tons of resources, right? And if you're sitting there still on a notepad and paper or spreadsheet trying to calculate this shit, you're already at a disadvantage. Think of it as a business expense, all right? Optimize your liquidity pools, definitely. And save yourself some time, man. It makes it easier, it makes it more fun, right? Especially for those that are more active. But that's about it on that. You know, that's why I love Metrix Finance, and that's like my core use of it, right? But it has a ton of other features. You can even save this range to your portfolio, so you can have it saved for later. You could build, you could compare and contrast with other pools. And Jake has all that covered on his channel. So go check out his channel. I'm gonna link it below, actually. I'll link it for my boy Jake. And I'm just really happy that we have this tool. Works out perfectly for me. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. If you want access to our school platform, that's where I post all my liquidity pools. I post my P&L, what I'm doing, when I'm rebalancing, when I'm rearranging, all the yields, how I farm some shit coins where this Sol Nero literally doubled my liquidity pool in a couple of days. All that. Join in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.